Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my Pan palette and Pan in Every palette update for the month of basically showing you all of my progress from January. So let's just get into it. So if I think of it, I will have timestamps down below, but I have two single eyeshadows, a palette, a bonus pan, and a pan in every palette to show you. So I'm going to start with my two singles and we'll go from there. So the first single I had in was a matte cream from Violet Voss, and as you can see it is finished. I anticipated it would be finished. It was a rollover from last year. I guessed it would take 5 more uses and it took 5 more uses. That never happens. But this took me a total from start to finish 51 uses, and I'm very curious to see if the Violet Voss Shadow Matte Cream in the palette will also take 51 from start to finish. But yeah, an empty shadow finally. When I say finally, I mean I've been working on that off and on since last August, I think. So that one is gone. And then the next one I rolled in is Preppy from Makeup Geek, and let me show you whatever progress I have to show you. My phone is going crazy. I have used it 19 times, so 16 in January, 3 in February because this is being a little bit delayed, but I have used it 19 times, which is actually so excellent. I don't know, I took the close-ups before this, but there is a dip on the left side of the pan. I don't know, will I hit pan between this update and the next update? I don't think I swatched it for you, so I'll just show you from here. Gosh, I'm after... Where's my cloth? And you see that back there? Basically, it's a cool tone matte brown, and it's actually quite a nice formula from Makeup Geek. This is my oldest single shadow, and I kind of wanted to roll it in because I had been working on it anyway. I would like to hit pan by the next time, but it is the 7th of February today, so I am late. I have been sick. I don't know if I feel like I'm on the mend if I'm able to record a video. However, it is seemingly a slow process. I don't know how it'll be. I would like to hit pan by the next update. Obviously we'd like to hit pan all the time, but there is a dip in the corner. So that's my second single shadow. I'm going to do my pan in every palette, and then my bonus pan, and then my pan matte palette. So my pan in every palette is my Huda Beauty Warm Brown Obsessions. My goal for the first month was to use every single eyeshadow, and I believe there was 31 eyeshadows in this project. We finished one, so we have 30. Is that right? Let me just count. Yeah, 31, and now we have 30. So there's 9 shades in this palette. Okay, so my goal was to use every single shade in the palette, and I did actually do that, which is super exciting. But let me just put the before and after. I don't think there's going to be much to really see here. They do look somewhat used, and let me go through the uses. So the first shade is the Burgundy, and I used it twice. There's a smidge of disruption in the middle. The second shade is like this warm orangey brown, and I use it once. The third one once. Next row to this deep dark blackberry, which is number 4. Let me get this. I used that twice, and then the one in the middle, the only shimmer in the palette, I used once. The matte cream I actually did use 3 times, even though there's a matte cream in the Pan Matte palette, but I did use this one 3 times. And then shade number 7, which is the last row, I used that shade 5 times, which is a matte peach. And then shade number 8, which is the second last shade, I used 3 times, and the final shade I used twice. So I used every shade in here. The one I use the most is this orangey. I might take a picture of that actually, the matte peach. I don't know how many uses it's going to take. I had mixed comments. Some people said the 9 pan palettes from Huda are easy to hit pan on, and I saw a few people panning this on Instagram and it looked like they would take quite a lot of uses. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this matte orangey peach colour, because there is only one shimmer in the palette, and this one is kind of transferable across the place. If there is 8 mattes and, is that it? 3, 6, 8 mattes and 1 shimmer, I should really just bite the bullet and go for the matte, even though it is harder for me. But yeah, that's where I am with that. And then the weight wise for this palette, 60.74, and now it's 60.26. So I use 0.54 grams. this month, which makes no sense to me because those Anastasia Beverly Hills had like 0.88 or something like that in the palette. I'm going to leave this out because I want to take a photo of that matte orange now that or matte peach now that I've committed to making that my focus shade. And then my Pan That palette, which I'll link my intro down below, but I loosely put this in as my Pan That palette. My goal is to do a pan in every palette. But I put this in as my focus palette, so either I'll hit a load of pans in here, like want to hit a load of pans in here, and roll it out and have just a pan in every palette and change the title of the video, or I'll just keep this in for the year. I still haven't actually decided. We haven't hit pan yet anyway. It is only in a month, so I wasn't expecting too much, to be honest, but my goal was to use every single shade, and I have used every single shade. So let's just get into the uses. This is a bigger palette, so I don't know how I'll show you the uses. I'm imagining it'll be side by side. So basic. So when I finished using my Violet Voss cream shade that we saw earlier, I moved on to this one. And I've used this now 16 times. Like that is a good, that's one of my most used shades in the palette. And then Sugar, the next one, I used 15 times. Press Pot, the third one, the orangey one, I used 3 times. Mama Bird, I used 3 times. Ragamuffin, I used once. Larly, the next line, I used 15 times. Like these ones are starting to look used. And then Tickle Pink, I used 5 times. Hissy Fit, once. Bitty, my favorite shade for when I actually go out in public, I use it only once, which is surprising to me because it is my favorite color to wear. But I think it's because I was at home. When I'm going out and about and I want to feel like I look nice, it's that kind of a shade. So 1988 I used once. Fleeky, which is the next line, and it's the goldy color, I only used it once. Britches, 4 times. Fried is actually a really nice shade. It's weird and it's nice. Once. Yoshi, I used once. Rammer Jammer, once. Gosh. The final line, Alabama, once. Whiskers, I used 5 times. Bobs looks a little bit different. You kind of try to use it as a liner. It's actually a nice liner. I only used it once and I kind of scraped a little bit off the top, mixed it with Duraline for that liner, and I actually liked it like that. Smashly is bloody gorgeous and I used it once. And Lou, I used the 1 time. Lou doesn't even look like I used it once at all. If you look at it up close, there's not even disruption in the pan, and I use it as a liner. Before I so my goal was to use the 2 palettes and use all of the shades, and as I said, that was 32 shades I wanted to use and I've used it. We now have 30 going forward. The weight of this palette, before I get lost, it weighed 265.06 and now it weighs 263.71. So I actually used 1.35 grams in this palette. So all the amount, I never weighed my cream shadow, but the total amount I used this month was 2.13 grams, which is actually shocking to me, and I'm really happy to see that because there's no pans here. I never showed you my bonus pan. I'll show you that in a minute. But there's something like 30 grams in this palette, 30 something grams. So I just want to mainly have this look super, super used. So yeah, 2.13 grams. And then for bonus pan, I actually hit pan of this Manifest Dream Big from Bperfect. This palette is, a lot of people find confusing, but I love it. I just love it. I love all of the different textures and formulas. I hit pan in the shade Anne, which should be shown on the screen. I'm doing no pan left behind myself this year, just because I want my goal is to have all my eyeshadows like as used as much of them as possible. So I was just working on this palette. I haven't all of the shades used this year in this palette yet. But there's creams, there's flakies, the mattes are super blendable. This taupey shade, it's just a gorgeous palette. I know it's very confusing looking, but if you look at it even in quads, if you don't want it, you don't need it. I'm just saying I love it and I think it's gorgeous. And I hit pan in the shade Anne, and this shade Anne reminds me of JD Glow Unexpected. I'll put a picture of a swatch up because I know I took one from my Instagram, but that is my bonus pan. That's my bonus pan. At least we have one, because like I only roll in 1 palette at a time for pan in every palette. So in theory, I still hit 1. Of course, I have to pick the stupid Violet Voss one. Right. So for some numbers, and then I'll just throw in some looks at the end for those who are interested. But at the intro, I had 67 eyeshadow palettes at the start of January. Eight of them had pan, excuse me, so that's 11.94% of my palettes had pan. And then now I have 74 palettes, so I have gone from 67 up to 74. I got a few palettes off Elaine, which is a video I have filmed. I just have to edit. It's incredibly long, so I need to edit it. If it's up, I will link it, but Elaine kindly gifted me a load of palettes for Christmas. Thank you so much, Elaine. I think I'll just leave Elaine always linked in my description box because I talk about her so much. She's from Canada, so thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Basically, I went from 67 up to 74, and then 9 of them have pan. So I went from 11.94% of my palettes having pan to 12.16%. So I actually went up by 0.22. I don't know how. I double checked and I triple checked, but 74 palettes, 9 have pan. So that's excellent. I was kind of feeling guilty. And you know what? I love what I have, and I just want it all to look used and loved like it is. Like, I just love this palette. I think the formula in this is really, really lovely. Oh yeah. Okay, so for next month then, it is the 7th of February, so I don't know what I can do, and I do have exams coming up. This shade is going to be my focus shade, but I want to make sure that I am still using the whole palette. However, next month I don't need to use all 9 shades and all 20 shades. I need to just make sure I'm focusing here and using here as I need to. And then for this palette, now that I've used every shade, I want to have a focus. And my focus will be the matte cream, obviously, because that is my matte cream that I'm using every day. Hang on, will this work? Will it work if I do this? So the matte cream is going to be my focus because I'm always using that. Sugar is going to be my focus, and Larlie is going to be my focus. Those 3 I want to use in every look that I do, if I can. And then I want to dip elsewhere. But these are going to be my focus, and then when stuff happens, we'll pick new focus. Even though I'm focusing on all 3 of these, it doesn't mean that I'm going to not use the rest of the palette. It just means that that's the priority, and I don't now need to use all 20 shades in this upcoming month. I need to dip. I need to dip. That's how I'm going to plan it, because I do want to do no pan left behind. I do want to make sure that I'm not going... I have such a history of just hyper focusing, and I don't want to do that as much. Okay, I think I've included everything. I'm going to pop into the looks now, if there are any. I'm sure that I took them, but are they, like, when you're looking at yourself when you're editing, you get like, ooh. So if they're there, I'll put them up. Okay guys, that is my pan that palette update. Thank you so much for watching. What palette are you panning? If you're panning a palette, let me know. I found a load of new YouTubers to watch that are project panners. I found someone who has 32 subscribers. Those are the hidden gems. I'm finding new people. I just love it. And there's so many people on Instagram. So if there's anyone that's panning anything in relation to eyeshadow, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you the next time. Take care. Bye. Thank you.